bridges and the parameters in the construction of bridges. We are a group of civil engineers, so let's go into begin with the definition of what is a bridge. A bridge, it's a construction that is used it's a structure built to span a valley. It can be a road, it can be for vehicles, it can be for people, it can be to join two points. So next we're going to see the etymology of the word bridge. As you can see here, the bridge comes from this word, riser, that is an antique word, and it developed for all the language as we know the word now. The history of the bridge. Well, at the beginning the bridges were natural. For example, when a tree falls, people made bridges from these trees, as we can see here. It is a very natural, as we can say, bridge. Types of bridges. There are several types of bridges. They're different because of the place that there are. So we have the beam bridges. Actually, those are the most common here in Guatemala. We have, for example, here. This is where all the forces are coming. So this is here we have the tension in the down, and in the up part we have the compression. The cantilever bridges. As we can see here, these bridges are some bridges that have this column here in the center, and then they extend to both sides. So here they can get to the ground in the both parts. These ones are arch bridges, as we can see here. The arch is a structure that is very useful structurally, and it doesn't, as you can see here, it doesn't need any columns in the middle because of the form that it has. We have here the suspension bridges. We can use them for long distances. As we can see here, this is a very long bridge. Commonly we use these towers, and they have these suspenders under tension that helps the bridge. And this one are other bridges that use cables, but they're different because the cables go to the column itself, so they can be short. Truss bridges, there are some type of bridges that are composed of connected elements of steel, so they are very resistant for seasons and very useful. We can see here in Guatemala some bridges of that kind.
Thank you very much, Raul. This is structural bridges. Mobile bridges, some bridges are not fixed, crossing with a canoe of the way of a boat or other kinds of traffic, which easily moves under them, but is sometimes too tight to fit. These are generally electrically powered. Double-decker bridges. Double-decker bridges have two levels, such as the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, DC Man Bridge, and Cap Solomon Bridge in Hong Kong. Likewise, in Toronto, the Princess Edward Viaduct has 4 lanes of motor traffic on this upper deck and the part of tracks and bridges. This is the parts of a bridge. Piers, Spanish pilotes, suspender cable, mine cable, deck. This is the traffic, towers, and anchorage. Cables. A cable is a that is flexible and it is usually long relative to its thickness, so it might be divided into segments with the attachment of other parts. My cable is a proportion to heavy that is curved. The cables of cable steel bridge my look straight, and they are always slightly curved with their weight. Beams are usually neither strict nor tease. Their action is to rest onto a form. Supports providing enough stiffness to retain their shape. Towers. To a whole suspension, cable high enough to provide clearance. Underneath towers are recurring. Is a form of vertical stroke, but it differs from a normal stroke in the type force in the mine very significantly from to the especially during construction. Piers. Piers are vertical structures which hold to everything else after a disaster. They are sometimes the only survivors. They are often found underwater of the underground, so that we never see complete structure. Desk. We have the no mentioned the one part of a bridge that you are certain to notice we crossing whatever the type of bridge.
Hi, my name is Liz, and I'm going to talk about the design of a bridge. The design of a bridge requires the elaboration of a series of studies. The first one is the surveying topography. The surveying topography allows to elaborate maps of the site and to facilitate studies of hydraulics, geology, geotechnological, and ecology, and their effects on the environment. Some of the things that surveying shall include are surveying at least 100 meters on each side of the bridge in the south, longitudinal and transverse direction, exposing all possible reference like rail, access to the bridge, highways, etc., as well as existing vegetation. In case of bridges over a stream of water, should make a detailed survey of the background. It is also necessary to indicate the direction of the water. Like here in this picture, we can show the surveying at least 100 meters on each side of the picture. Hydrology and hydraulic studies. The objectives of the studies are to establish the hydrological characteristics of the regiments of the extraordinary and maximum fluid and hydraulic factors that lead to a real appreciation of the hydraulic behavior of the river that used to define the minimum requirements of the bridge and its optimal location in terms of level security. Hydraulics have to include optimal location of the crossing. hydraulic behavior of the river in the section that includes the crossing. Area to be confined, flow across the bridge, maximum water level at the location of the bridge, and the minimum depth suitable for the location for the foundations. Also, it's important to consider the mobility of the channel, and also the contribution of debris from the basin and its core phenomenon, as well as the possibility of occurrence of landslides, mudslides, and flooding. Now, geological studies. This gives us an information and description of the geology and the regional and local place. Description and geomorphology, geological zoning of the area, recommendations of quarries for building materials, and identification and characterization of geological faults. Now, geotechnical studies. This encompasses the identification of physical and mechanical properties of soils for foundation design stable. These studies must be included field trials in soil and or rocks, and laboratory tests on samples of soil and or rock extracted from the area. Other studies that we can include have the electrical, plumbing, and signage to raise a bridge following all the specifications may be required by the municipality. The geometric study of a bridge must be very accurately, since it determines the width of the roadway that will. For this can be auxiliary of the topography, and to do so wise with contour lines at every meter with cross sections. Section will be defined the basic or essential features of each alternative bridge, because at the end we're going to receive very many types of bridges, and we're going to draft a precise and allowed technical and economical evaluation prior to final development. The draft should be included total length and type of structure, dimension of a typical transverse sections, height of the ground and gaps, types of abutments and foundation, length of heats, construction procedures, methodologies, main calculation, and cost estimates and budgets.
My name is Guadalupe. The construction process is necessary the following the next step. The field to mark the city of foundation, after to blow motion and to lay the foundation of the bridge. For the execution of the beam laid, the following step: application of the lean concrete, line beam formwork, placement of iron in the beam line, concrete beam line, and stripping. The other step for construction process is a placement of precast piers. To place the piers of the bridge, the piers is a vertical support of the beam, and the piers is a precast. And the other step for the construction of the bridge is a placement of fabricate lintel. When to place the lintel and adjust to give the stability of beam. Neoprene placement. The neoprene to place the neoprene between the beam and the beam frame, If the fusion for the membrane is reduced to the rate. The other step of the beams is the placement notch of the series operation that end with the placement of the beam on the membrane sheet. And the other step for the construction process of the bridge is assembling the steel. And this picture shows the work that are assembling the steel in the slab. And the other step for the construction is place the concrete in the slab. The common company that give to the construction the mixed concrete is Mixtolisto. Finally, place the body protection because is needed for the cars do not have accidents.
Hi, my name is Luis Colon and I'm going to talk about the maintenance of bridges. First of all, we are going to talk about the maintenance of bridges of concrete. The major components on the bridges are the girders, the towers, the abutments, and walls. The concrete bridges require a major or minor maintenance for the steel bridges because they don't fatigue a lot because the environment don't affect a lot like the steel bridges. The major risk in a concrete bridge is the damage occurred when a car is like with them, and that depends of the fires and the excessive corrosion that can be produce this effect. The restoration procedure may be minimal or more big. It depends the natural of the natural accident that happened. First of all, the steps for doing this maintenance process is the visual inspection. And we need to inspect for see how is the aspect of the concrete, if it has crashed or need repair in the steel bars reinforcement. Then we need to do some tests, like we can see this picture of the elements that can be broken or fractured. The second is prepare the materials. The materials are very important and we need to have everything to do with this. The products for routine are the concrete, the epoxies, and sealers that are the more common. But the more complicated implies the steel bar reinforcements. Close the pass. We don't need or not are going to start if we don't close the pass because there are going to be some problems for all the person and cars that pass in the bridge that we need to close the pass to these external acts for the bridge for don't produce an accident. And later fulfill the cracks and repair reinforcement steel. This depends on the magnitude of the condition of the bridge, because if can be only repaired and fulfill the cracks and the joints, or maybe if are more extensive, we can need to replace the bridges steel bars. Now the maintenance of bridge steel. This is very the same step of path, but we need to know that the steel bridges have more influential environmental factor, then he corrodes and turns smooth. Then we need to see with the visual inspection and test how are the condition of the steel and what of them we need to change.